Right. Thank you so much for coming along today, Meg. I really appreciate you joining us for this chat.
Thank you for having me.
Great. No worries. I'll introduce myself. My name's Hannah. I'll be interviewing you today alongside Alex Kirchner here. Alex will ask the first question and then we'll alternate throughout the questions just about your experience and what brought you to get to Tokyo 2020 Olympics.
Yeah, good.
Hey.
Yeah. So welcome, Meg. Yeah, we just wanted to ask how did you get into swimming and who inspired you?
I got into swimming through my mom. She was a swim teacher. I lived up north from the age of about 3, so I did surf life saving. So I did swimming originally to keep fit for surf life saving, but over the years I decided to take swimming more seriously, and we moved down to Brisbane in about 2015 when I was 13 years old, and obviously there's no beaches down here. So I had to choose between swimming and surf life saving, and I chose swimming. So I think my biggest inspiration is my parents. Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
Great. Lovely. Thank you for that. So you start swimming. What got you interested in the Olympics? What was the journey for you to get to Tokyo 2020 Olympics?
Well, when I lived in Mackay, obviously the Olympics weren't really a big deal there. I swam more just for the sport and to keep fit, like I said. But when I moved down here, I trained at commercial originally, which the Campbell sisters, so 2 of the biggest sisters in swimming, were training for the Olympics for the next year. And that was when I first got interested in the Olympics or realized like how big of a deal it was. And I think watching them train and then seeing them race the following year is what really got me into it. And I thought, oh, well, if I'm watching them train, like it's possible if you train as hard as you want to. And that's how I got into it, basically.
That's great. So obviously you did amazing in Tokyo. What was the overall experience?
I mean, it was insane, but I think the best part of it was that it was different for everyone. So there was the teammates who had also been on the team before, but for everyone, it was a whole new experience, like with COVID and everything. So I think we all got to enjoy a unique experience together, and we don't know what the next one's going to be like. So I think for me, that was probably the best part, was that everyone was experiencing the whole new thing together. But for me, especially because I didn't know any different, that the whole thing, that's what I think a normal Olympics is like. But yeah.
That's right.
Wow. That's a really, amazing experience. So with that event, the women's 4x100 meter relay freestyle, getting gold and breaking a record. What was, watching that, I had goosebumps. I could just imagine what you were feeling. Can you go through it all with us? How are you feeling in the lead up, during the match, and also after?
For the lead up, I was very nervous because I was originally didn't know if I was going to be swimming in the final. So I had to obviously make the heat swim my best swim ever. So that was the most nerve-wracking thing for us. Like, we were pretty well going in to make the final. So it was more who was going to be in the final. And there was 2 spots available because 2 of the girls were automatically in. So I think that was the most nerve-wracking part, was if I was going to make the final. But going into it, I knew I just had to do my best swim, and that's what I did. I did a personal best in the heat swim. But I think for the finals, it was more not so much my swim as an individual. We did it as a team, and I was really nervous in the marshalling room, I remember. But the girls that I was with, they were on their 3rd, their 4th Olympics. Like, they've been in that race many times before, and they said, there's nothing you're going to do in the next 10 minutes that is going to change. And I think they just said, enjoy it, like enjoy your swim. And that's what I did. I don't really remember the race as much. Like, I remember getting up on the blocks and watching the swimmer come in, but I don't remember the feeling because it was over and so fast. But I also, with the record, I didn't even realize that we had the record until about 15 minutes later, when Kate was telling me that she's like, oh yeah, we went under 3 minutes 30, and I was like, oh, what's the world record? And she goes, that. And I was like, oh wow, that's amazing. So I think for me it was more that than the winning that made everything, like I found out through one of them, like that was the most incredible thing.
Wow. In terms of your hearing loss, how did you manage like communication, participation, and like did you face any barriers at the Olympics, training, anything?
Well, for me, most of the time I wear my hearing aids anyway, but the team all knew, and they were so supportive. I had Bronte who helped me with media, and all the girls, when we went through the back, they basically answered all the questions for me. Leading into it, our media advisor there, she helped. Our Channel 7 was our main media broadcaster, so we knew the news reporter pretty well, and he told me the question that he was going to ask me in advance, like when he was going to ask it. So I think media wise, everything was pretty good. The gun, like the starting gun, has been the hardest part for me, but I was in a relay and I didn't have to lead at all, so that wasn't a challenge for me. I think the biggest problem I had to face was masks, because I couldn't lip read. Like I know I can still hear the sound, but for me it's also, I'm so used to looking at lips and just putting everything together, so that was the biggest part for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can really relate to that one. I'm sure many people do, especially through the COVID, and then being in Japan at Tokyo with the different culture and everything else going on. That would have been wow. So,
Yeah.
just a question on the starting gun. Do you watch the person who's about to start the game or start the match, or what? How do you know that someone's starting it?
Well, I think I struggled a lot when I was younger, just getting used to focusing on the sound and diving in. So my reaction time was always used to be a lot slower than everyone else's. But over time, I think I've just gotten used to waiting for the gun to go. So it's different where everyone else just hears it and goes. I have to listen really hard for it. And I think I'm focusing more on when the gun's going rather than as like reacting as fast as I can. But over time, it's become more of a natural instinct. So it's been easier.
Wow. Oh, that's really interesting. Do you have any advice to give to any young deaf or hard of hearing people in the future that want to be involved at sport at such a high level?
I think the biggest thing is if you want to do something, there's going to be many people out there that are willing to help you get there. Like I know growing up, there's always been people that are just going to treat you the same as everyone else, which is also good, but there's also people that are going to be willing to go that extra mile for you to help you get where you want. So I think if sticking around the right people, you're always going to be able to get where you want to go.
That's great. That's great. So what's next for you now that the Olympics are over? Do you have any personal goals? Are you back at training already and prepping for the 3-cycle Paris, to 3-cycle 3 years to Paris?
Yeah. Well, right now I'm having a break. I haven't had a break for a couple of years. Obviously, I swam straight through COVID as well. So I haven't had a break, and I definitely need one. So I'm on break now. But I think my personal goal for me is to make an individual swim. Like I was on a relay and I'm so grateful for that. But I think watching the other girls swim, watching Emma swim is just so inspiring. So I think for me, the biggest thing, like I'd love to be on the relay again, but the ultimate goal is to be an individual swimmer on the team.
Yeah. What's your main event? Do you have a particular one?
The 100 freestyle.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Great.
Wow, fantastic. Thank you. Alex, was there any other questions you wanted to ask Meg?
I can't think of any, but do you face any struggle like at training and stuff with hearing, and do you find that you're particularly disadvantaged at training and stuff? And how do you cope?
Not so much a disadvantage. My coach is loud and out there. I don't know if you would have seen a video of him on social media. He's one of the coaches that went crazy, but he there's always multiple people. Like we have a biomechanist, like a gym coach. We have multiple people at the pool anyway, so there's always going to be people that are available to help. I think I've never noticed a difference in the pool because my hearing aids aren't waterproof, so I've never noticed what it's like to be able to hear at a normal level. But I think that's one of the things that also has made it easier for me is not knowing the difference. So I think that's what everyone else hears. But a lot of my coach does use hand signals a lot. So that's the biggest thing. Yeah.
That's great.
Great, fantastic. Thanks so much, Meg, for answering all our questions. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me.